Hello friends, welcome. Friends, on 20th of May 2025, TRAI came out with this consultation paper. And the title of the consultation paper is Assignment of Microwave Spectrum in Various Band. And if you look at these bands, these are very high frequency band. Now friends, why I'm doing this video today and what is my purpose? The purpose of this video is to understand the financial implication of the TRAI's consultation process on the mobile operators, because that is the essence of the discussion, because everybody who is watching this video will only be interested in financial impact more than anything else, because rest everything are technical details, though I am going to touch upon those details also, but financial implications are extremely important and that needed me to do a lot of work. And friends, you will find this video very important. The reason I am going to focus on the financial implication is because when this consultation paper was out, the speculations were already in the air that what kind of impact it is going to cause to various operators, especially Vodafone Idea, in order to make their business more efficient, right? Because currently, a lot of money is being spent on these frequency bands for the purpose of backhaul and midhaul. Now, friends, before I talk about the financial implication, let's first understand how microwave spectrum is different from access spectrum. Now, what are those access spectrum that we have? We have got 700 megahertz, we have got 800 megahertz, and up to 3.5 gigahertz band, which was recently auctioned for 5G spectrum. Now, these bands, which are for access, we have a very clear method of assignment of spectrum, which is through auction. And these are for lower frequency bands. These are falls under the category of lower frequency band, because the access spectrums are primarily used for connecting to mobile devices. So if you have a handheld mobile devices of this size, you clearly can't be using these frequency bands, which are very high, to communicate with these devices, and therefore the lower frequency band access spectrum bands are used for accessing mobile devices, and therefore they have auctioned, right? Now, this high frequency band can't be used to connect to mobile devices, and therefore they have a different purpose. What purpose they have? They are used for either backhauling traffic where there is no optical fiber connectivity, or you can use it for midhaul or connecting to fixed wireless terminal, because fixed wireless terminals have devices which are on the rooftop, and there you can have the antenna tuned in such a way that some of these bands can be used for fixed wireless also. Okay, so this is on a high level the difference between microwave spectrum and access spectrum. Now friends, why this consultation paper has been put out now? Are there no assignment method for microwave spectrum? Now, I will give you a brief history, because people who are not following the telecom sector from the very beginning may not understand the implication of this consultation paper. See, what happened was, when the Supreme Court judgment came in year 2012, everybody thought that all spectrum should be auctioned, including the microwave spectrum. So DOT was quite confused. So what happened was, DOT thought of auctioning microwave spectrum, all kinds of auctioning microwave spectrum. But it is very difficult to auction microwave spectrum, because auctioning of microwave spectrum leads to a lot of inefficiency. Since nobody was willing to take any decision in DOT, so they kept on postponing the final assignment method of microwave spectrum. So they came out with orders which are always provisional in nature. Means they had a structure of assignment of microwave spectrum which was administrative in nature, with a pricing criteria which is of a percentage of AGR. As the number of carriers increased, the percentage of the AGR as fees which you have to pay, which the operator have to pay, also kept on increasing. And when the E band was also assigned after 5G spectrum, similar AGR based fee structure was decided. Since there was no clarity as to how the auction how the assignment will be finally done, right? So they kept on coming out with provisional order till the time when the Telecommunications Act came in. Now, I will show you the Telecommunications Act, where there was clarity as to what finally DOT is supposed to do. So there is a first schedule of the Telecommunications Act, and this is pretty important, right? This preview is very important, friends. Otherwise, you will not understand what is going on. So this first schedule of the Telecommunications Act spoke about assignment of spectrum through administrative process, because as I told you, the DoT was quite confused what to do with all kinds of spectrum, because Supreme Court said that all spectrum should be assigned. Now they defined some category of spectrum which could be assigned through administrative mechanism, and radio backhaul spectrum for radio backhaul and for telecommunication service has been put in as an item 12 in this schedule the first schedule, right? And what the explanation under this has been provided, this is very pretty important. So what is radio backhaul? The term radio backhaul shall mean the use of radio frequency only to interconnect telecommunication equipment other than customer premises equipment. So you can't connect to customer. So FWA can't be connected, okay? Only those spectrum which are going to connect to customer premises equipment will be auctioned, right? If you don't connect to customer premises equipment, you are connecting to an aggregating point other than a customer premises equipment, only then this first schedule is applicable. So this consultation paper is kind of discussing this issue, because there have been a lot of claims by the operators to use various spectrum bands which are being listed here for customer premises equipment also. And that is why, friends, this discussion is pretty important, because as soon as the customer premises equipment will come, some of the spectrum band has to be auctioned. If there is no customer premises equipment involved, then that spectrum will be assigned through administrative process. Now, only thing that comes into play at that particular point of time is what should be the pricing structure. Now, friends, if a particular spectrum band is auctioned, the operators will be very happy. Why? Because in past also, when spectrum was auctioned, especially the 26 gigahertz band when auctioned, the SUC, the spectrum usage charge, went down drastically. And I'm going to show you in my Excel sheet, and you will be able to see that how spectrum usage charges for access spectrum went down exponentially and microwave spectrum did not. Therefore, auctioning of spectrum is actually good for the operators to preserve their perpetual outflow in terms of spectrum usage charges. If you don't auction microwave spectrum, then you have to pay perpetual spectrum charges, which are quite high. And let me explain. And when I show you the Excel sheet, you will understand. That's why this whole purpose of this video is to explain to you the financial implication, how this consultation paper is going to impact the health of the operator. So just be with me and let me go straight to that document or that Excel sheet, so that viewers who are wondering what is going on will get a clear understanding. Now, friend, this is the Excel sheet that I have, and this Excel sheet looks quite overwhelming. Now, friends, before I take you through the Excel sheet, I would like to tell you the source of this Excel sheet. Otherwise, people say from where this data has come. Now, the source of the Excel sheet is here. If I go to this website of DoT, so if you go to DoT, this is the revenue management system website. So there is a category, there is a block here which is called license fee collection, and then there is another block which says spectrum usage collection. Now, this is quite, how do I describe this? The site is so complex that it is impossible for you to aggregate data from this site, because what happens is that when you click on a particular field, it will keep on drilling down. So there is no method or any kind of tool which you can use to scrape this website easily, and it took me quite a lot of time to scrape this website. And this data that DoT has in this website is quite authentic data, because these are being updated on the last update is on 30th May 2025. So what I have done, friends, I have aggregated both license fee as well as spectrum usage charge, and I have aggregated everything in my website. So if you look at this dashboard here, Indian Telecom regulatory fees, license and spectrum usage metrics, you can go to my website, and let me zoom a little bit so that you can get to see what is going on. Here you can select license fee, and you can select the year, for example 2025, and then what you can do, you can see that all the license category for a particular operator, the fees are all listed out in a matrix form. So you can see that for the license fee for year FY25, Bharti paid 9,231 crores under the various category of license. Now, if I choose spectrum fee, the spectrum fee for Bharti was 3,781 crores for FY25 under these category, which includes microwave spectrum also. And that is why, friends, this Excel sheet, which I have aggregated from this data, is pretty important for you to understand. So look at this Excel sheet, then only you will be able to understand the implication of this consultation paper, right? So let's go step by step. So how we have structured this Excel sheet? I have operator Bharti here, and Bharti's percentage, which I'm going to explain, will be listed out separately. Then I have got Reliance Jio here, and the Reliance Jio percentage, which I'm going to describe, listed down separately here. And then I have got Vodafone Idea here, and Vodafone Idea's percentage I have described here separately. Now, what are the category? And these are only for spectrum, SUC, not license, but license fee has been put out for reference purpose only. But the breakout that I have given is only for spectrum usage chart, right? So I have got FY22, FY23, FY24, and FY25. FY26 I have not taken into consideration because this is only till May 2030. The data is not complete. So the first column is for IMT spectrum, which is access spectrum, right? The SUC for access spectrum. Then we have got microwave access, microwave backdown, and E-band. And then the total spectrum charges, right? Spectrum fees. And then I have got the total license fee only for reference, and similar structure I have followed for Reliance Jio, and similar structure I have followed for Vodafone Idea. And what is this? This is nothing but a percentage of the total SUC, right? So if let's say if you think FY22, the total SUC Bharti paid was 7,313, which is 100% here. So for IMT spectrum, Bharti paid 67.6%. For microwave access, it pays 30.1%. And for backbone, they pay 2.4%. And for E-band, it paid 0%. You got it? So this is how you have to look at this sheet. And you can pause the video. Now you are expert because the sheet is right in front of you and you can see. And let me go step by step to make you understand the implications first. Now, if you look at Bharti, FY22 to FY25, the IMT spectrum, right? The fees were how much? 67.6%, and it went down. So if you look at this, it went down from FY22 to FY25 to 20.5%. Of the total SUC that Bharti is paying is 3,781, which I showed you in my look at this, 3,781. In my dashboard. So this dashboard which I have is pretty useful, by the way, because it took me a lot of pain to aggregate this data, right? So what it basically means, the Bharti has been able to reduce its IMT spectrum SUC charges because of this 26 gigahertz band which they bought, which gave the weighted average formula. So I will show you the weighted average formula. So this is the weighted average formula which typically DOT uses to calculate SUC. So you can see here, then in this weighted average formula, every band has got a weight, right? Not a weight, basically the percentage that SUC of a particular band depends upon the NIA. So depending upon the quantum of spectrum that you have for a particular spectrum band, which was auctioned, let's say in a particular year, and the SUC that is applicable for the spectrum band, you have to use this formula, which is right here. Looks quite complex, but it is very easy. I have explained this in one of my articles, and I'm going to show you the article that I have, where, let me just see this is again gone. Just a minute. So if you see that in this, not this, there is an article that I had. This is the article. So here you will see, what I'm saying is that if you buy 28 gigahertz band, how the SUC, which is 3.5%, right, at that particular point in time, got reduced to only 0.318%. Why? Because you multiplied by 500 into 0, because when the telecom package of 2021, no SUC was applicable for any new spectrum auction. So 50 was the access spectrum that you had, multiplied by 3.5. in plus 500 with 0 SUC divided by 550, it comes out to be 0.31. That is why, friends, this number dropped significantly. But what about microwave access spectrum? Microwave access spectrum actually increased, you see. It was 2200 in FY22. Now it is at FY25, it is at 2275. Backbone spectrum is not. Background spectrum are those spectrum bands which are at lower frequency, means at a long haul. Access means a short haul, which is a higher frequency. The definition of backbone means that if you are in 6 gigahertz band or 7 gigahertz band, you are going up to, let's say, 50 kilometers or 60 kilometers long haul. Those are backbone, and access is shorter distances, and therefore it looks like the operators are consuming a lot of microwave spectrum and spending a lot of SUC on microwave access. If at least Bharti is, right? You see? And then E-band came because of 5G, and the government of India came out with a new order of giving E-band also provisionally, right? And they are charging 0.15% SUC for one carrier. Two carrier was given at 250 megahertz. Why E-band is important? Because E-band is at a very high frequency, and you can have a large quantum of spectrum in that high frequency. And therefore, in the lower frequency, you cannot have, so you can drive large data, but you can't go beyond 2 kilometers. And therefore, you see that the E-band SUC has also been increasing. So if you look at this total SUC, out of which microwave access is 25% for Bharti and E-band is 6%, right? Similarly, Reliance Jio is following a similar trend. If you see, Reliance Jio's SUC was almost at par with Bharti, a little less, but it has substantially reduced SUC for access spectrum, 433 versus 774 for Bharti. Similarly, if you see Vodafone Idea has also reduced SUC, but they have not been able to reduce SUC as Bharti has been able to reduce SUC. If you see, it is 1564 to 880, and Bharti from 4940 to 7740, right? Now, as far as microwave access spectrum is concerned, Reliance Jio 957 to 1394, which is lower than that of Bharti, which clearly tells us that Reliance Jio has got a very strong optical fiber network. Otherwise, this part of Reliance Jio would have been similar to that of Bharti. Backbone, we can just simply ignore because these are almost similar in nature. I don't know why Reliance Jio is using, paying larger SUC for microwave backbone compared to Bharti, right? And then the E-band is also similar in nature as far as Reliance Jio is concerned. So for E-band, Reliance Jio and Bharti are similar. As far as Vodafone is concerned, if you see Vodafone microwave backbone is very, very low. Microwave access is quite low compared to Bharti and Reliance Jio, right? If you see, Reliance Jio is 1394, it is 824, Bharti is 2275. So if there was any kind of reform which TRAI does in this consultation paper as regarding microwave access, Bharti is going to get benefited the most because its number is 2275 crore SUC, which it has paid in FY25, and it is in the increasing trend. Reliance Jio is going to be the next benefited, and Vodafone Idea is going to be benefited the third. Because Vodafone Idea's IMT spectrum SUC and the microwave access spec SUC is neck to neck. It is not so different. But from a relative point of view, if you see, Vodafone Idea will be benefited, but not as significant as Bharti and Reliance Jio because their outflow as far as microwave access SUC is far higher. Now, friends, what is likely to happen? See, look, as I told you in the beginning of this presentation on this video is that the definition of backhaul spectrum in the DOT's Telecommunications Act, which came out in 2023, is that the term radio backhaul shall means use of radio frequency only to interconnect telecom equipment other than customer premises equipment, which means that if any of this spectrum band is going to be used, for example, E-band is going to be used to connect customer premises equipment, then it is going to likely to get auctioned. And if it gets likely to get auctioned, then these outflows can be reduced, which means that the operators will be able to reduce outflow of that particular spectrum band of our microwave, which they will use for access, because that could be auction. When it is auction means it is zero SUC. And it could also drive their existing SUCs to a slight, because it has already been driven too low, but it will not get further, but it will get driven down. But if they are going to be using it only for connecting their equipment, the main equipment, then there is a very little chance of those spectrum bands will be auctioned. Only possibility is that if you look at the DOT's order, and I'm going to show you the page number 185. So if I go to page number 185, not 185, I think it is, no, not this. I'll show you. I actually have extracted that separately. No, this not this. This is the. So this is the DOT's order, provisional order dated 16th of October 2015. And here the microwave access SUC charges have been mentioned. So if you look at the SUC charges, and you will be surprised to see that how harsh the SUC charges are. So look at this. Spectrum bandwidth, first carrier 28 megahertz. Spectrum charges as per AGR is 0.15, right? Which is equal to that of E band, right? But as the carrier increases, the cumulative SUC charges keeps on increasing. So if you have, let's say 11th carrier, if you want 11th carrier, you have to pay 3.95% SUC, which is much is at par with the access SUC that they used to pay before the 26 gigahertz band came, and it drove the SUC down to only 0.395. I showed you in my article, right? So these charges, if they get rationalized, who is going to get benefited the most? Bharti, if they continue to keep using microwave access, right? Because their optical fiber connection looks to me to the base station is not at par with Geo. And as per the DOT's data, only 46% of the base station have been connected to OFC, and there is a 54% of base station is still connected, have to be connected on an aggregated manner, including all service providers. So the summary of the discussion. Let's do the summary of the discussion. This TRAI consultation paper, right, is to give finality to the discussion whether microwave spectrum should be auctioned or not. And that discussion was going on since starting from 2012. They were all confused because I was watching this from the beginning of the Supreme Court judgment. They kept on giving provisionally microwave spectrum. And sometimes, they never used to give microwave spectrum. Operators used to beg, please give me microwave spectrum. The DOT officials were all scared whether the microwave spectrum should be given through auction or through administrative process. Nobody wanted to give anything administrative. So series of, consultation went on. TRAI was asked to do consultation. TRAI went back and nothing was done. So if you look at this consultation paper, you will find all the history has been described here. So you can read through the history. I have read everything. That's why I've been doing this. You look at it, I've underlined each and every word here, right? So I've read everything here and I knew this from the very beginning. So because of that, this is to put that discussion to finality. Now in this, the essence of this discussion is that you will fall under first schedule only if you are not going to connect to customer premises equipment. If you want your spectrum band to be connected to customer premises equipment, then it will be auctioned. And if it get auctioned, the operator will get benefited, because if in E-band, for example, if E-band get auctioned, then this outflow can be saved, which kind of will keep on increasing over a period of time for all three. Now, if there is no customer premises equipment, right, to be connected, then in that case, it will be administrative assigned. And if it is administrative assigned, then the exponentially increase bucket of outflow as far as the operators are concerned on the microwave access, which is the administrative assigned part of the microwave spectrum. This, if has to be managed, then only way it can be managed is if you are going to make these charges less. And whether TRAI is going to reduce these charges or not, whether DOT is going to play with these charges or not, we don't know. So that's the net which is of this discussion, apart from many other technical details, which I will do a separate video later. Which band should be taken out, which band should be reserved for IMT. So there are a lot of technical discussion, but net from a financial perspective, this is the summary of the discussion, friends. I hope that you understood it, and let me know if you have any comments. And thanks for listening till the end. And I'll come back with a new video next time on a new topic.